All right, today's episode is going to be diving into the metaverse once again, except in a different way. And the idea behind this one is gaming guilds and what that means. You guys are not going to want to miss this one. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to Tech Path. As we get started today, the metaverse has really kind of blossomed into a new ecosystem, and we're going to break down these gaming guilds, some of the upstarts, and also some of the more legendary gaming guilds and kind of how they fare. Before we get started though, if you follow my channel, you probably know the turbulent market that we've kind of been dealing with over these past few months, and volatility is one of the biggest issues that you're going to face in any kind of investment. Regardless if you want to know about investing, if you're doing it in the right space, one of our sponsors today is Masterworks, and Masterworks lets you access an asset class that has outpaced the S&P by 174% since 1995. Remember that when you're investing in S&P, or maybe you're going into crypto, you're looking for those high performance assets. And one of the things that you get with Masterworks is you get a chance to actually go into art. One of the things that I think a lot of people overlook is the opportunity to buy contemporary art. Just don't take my word for it. The Wall Street Journal just called it one of the hottest markets on earth. This is also one of those areas that I think is going to continue to really grow. The only problem though is in the past, you couldn't really invest in these things. You actually had to go buy the art. Now you're going to get a chance to actually go in and get a fractionalized version or portion of a new work of art or a work of art. Hence Masterworks. They let guys like you and me invest in multi-million-dollar artworks for a fraction of the cost. Here's how they do it and why they just raised one of the largest Series A rounds in history. So basically they have a team of analysts that go out and research the databases and also take a look at the art itself. So they've got art experts, etc. Then they go file that with the SEC, which allows them to securitize the art, meaning the painting or whatever it might be. They'll keep it in stock, and then you and I, we get a chance to again go in and actually invest within this. So that's really the big value right here, is if you are looking at diversifying your portfolio, the way to do this, whether you're investing in crypto, whether you're investing in S&P, or now a new opportunity is to invest in art. So if you want to learn more, click the link below, make sure and go visit masterworks.io. All right, so let's jump into the Metaverse Gaming Guild aspect and why this is important and how this may be creating an ecosystem that will be potentially driving the future of games. There's a lot happening in this space, much more than I think a lot of people that follow crypto, gaming, and in general, investing in blockchain strategies and technology than what you think. And I think these are some of the things you need to definitely put on your watch list in terms of projects that could be moving in the right direction. Let's go to Yield Guild Games and this news right here. This was basically a press release they did out on this recent partnership, which is a co-led $3 million seed round for mobile play to earn tournament. Now, this is where it gets really interesting to me, because in the aspect of blockchain gaming is we have not seen, and ironically, we're getting ready to see AAA Gaming Awards, I think, this week. But when you look at tournaments, there hasn't been a lot of these kinds of things out there. In fact, very few. And the opportunity here for these guilds to create these tournament aspects to what we could see in really advancing blockchain gaming in a big way, getting game players, also getting all these new game releases, exposure, and brand awareness. I think this is going to be very interesting. So what they did is they partnered with Ascensive Assets for this $3 million seed round for a mobile play to earn tournament infrastructure. And this is going to be provider of Ignite tournaments, also attracting investment from Arca, Mechanism Capital, Skyvision you probably heard of, Eden Holdings, D1 Ventures you probably heard of, and then even Morningstar Ventures, which is another one of those big early stage, mostly they go into early stage startups, but for them going into this, really interesting here. Prominent angel investors such as Kieran Warwick, this is the founder of Illuvium, Dana Chaudhry, who is the CEO of Bitcoin Exchange, and then Richard Ma, who is the CEO of QuantStamp. So these guys kind of know what they're doing when you look at them putting money into something, and especially in the crypto space. So I think when you look at projects like what's happening here with Yield Guild Games, it's definitely one to watch, I think, for sure. Now, we're going to break into the CPI, meaning the Crypto Power Index. We'll take a look at how they fare in the charts and also just in the scorecard itself. And we'll show that here in a bit because we're going to go through a couple others that I want you guys to take a look at. Let's take a look over here at let's take a look over here at Unisys Gaming, which was the other one that I wanted to really kind of dive into, using play to earn and scholarships in their new initiative. So they've got a distributed ledger technology and online gaming have long been obviously said kind of a hand in hand. And it appears that the winds of innovation are finally on par with where this is going around widespread awareness. So you look at Unisys Gaming and what they're doing, very simple. They're a platform. They're trying to become the first digital nation within a virtual economy, taking advantage of its own community assets, etc., but as a DAO token in the metaverse. And their whole play here is the scholarship approach. If you look at them, they have the scholarship structure. Team behind Unisys Gaming has offered over 1,000 scholarships in the past months, and also created an opportunity for members to kind of jump in and create and play around this popular game. You know, one of those things called and known as Axie Infinity. So what this boils down to, if you're new to our channel and you're thinking, hey, Paul, what's he talking about? I came here for some Cardano news. That's a joke. Not a bad joke, even though I think Cardano's getting ready to pop here in a little bit, is that these guilds, what they do is they are either one, buying assets in the metaverse, doing some investment structure there, building up asset classes, and then also creating either game factions and also play to earn scholarships and unification of players to go out and do these kind of things. We just talked to Michael Wagner, who's the CEO over at Star Atlas, and he mentioned this very same thing, is that gaming guilds are starting to create around Star Atlas, do acquisition of NFT assets, digital assets, and then take that and create this. Remember the movie Ready Player One? Remember the bad guy in the movie? I think that was kind of a gaming guild. Not that they're bad guys, but the idea was that the gaming guilds were trying to create a way to win in those environments. And I think that's exactly where this is definitely going. If you look at this one, Unisys, the team is also working on a V2 of their scholarship. Now, this is interesting to me. It's going to allow scholars to be full-time members of the Metaverse, full-time members of the Metaverse, and have their ability to earn while also having fun. To do this, the Unisys team is building a complete support system, replicate the level of security that people would expect from a traditional employer, etc. This is kind of getting into that whole idea around gig work. And think about this for a second. Uber, all those gig economy type of Web 2.0 real world functionality in gig work is essentially translating over to what's happening in the metaverse. We could see gig workers in the metaverse in a huge way. Think about what it's done just to our society in real life, of how gig work has really shifted the whole planet on how work is being done. Remote, lots more variations, time of day, doesn't really matter. Same kind of thing I think is going to really start accelerating in the metaverse, and this is going to be one of the ways that it does. Now, one of the other projects that we're going to get into is a project called Astra Guild. Now, they asked us to do a review for this project, so they sponsored this section of the video, but when we got into it, I really wanted to take a little deeper dive into what they were doing. We actually gave this a CPI score to find out where this one held up in comparison to what some of these other guilds who are very mature were doing. So I want to jump to their website in case you've never seen it. It's Astra Guild Ventures. They do have a public sale that's starting actually this week. It's going through December 16th. They claim one of the largest play-to-earn gaming guilds in the world. They're also having some pretty interesting things happening in terms of staff acquisition. This was the one that I thought was very interesting. 6 prominent figures in the crypto and blockchain space have joined Astra Guild Ventures. And some of these guys I follow, like Alexandra Raffin. This guy is one that I've been following in the gaming sector for quite some time. And for him to be jumping on in their advisory board, this only speaks to high quality and also understanding of where blockchain gaming is going, because this is one of those leaders I think out there. And then of course this tweet right here, let me jump over to the tweet from their president. I thought this was very interesting. Proof of outperforming 99.9% of the Binance users with almost 2.5 billion in USDT trading volume. Basically what they're saying is that this going onto the BSC Smart Chain, it's going into the BSC ecosystem, and they're looking for massive opportunity here in terms of how this game is, or how this guild is going to grow. I think a lot of this is really going to fly into some very interesting aspects around kind of the future of gaming guilds. I want to jump over to our chart here. Unix is the first one, Unix Gaming Play to Earn, trading on the Unix. You can kind of see their numbers right here, trading at 71 cents, and their DAO 20%. Their scholars number, as I said earlier, is kind of the problem with this one. If I looked at it also at 600, they have a very low number of community on 45,000 in terms of Twitter following. And if you look at their current CPI, November was actually a little bit better for them. Now remember, this is December data, which is mid-December. Not that we would see it variate too much, because it's not based on volume. It's based on a weighted scale for CPI. But their score comes in at 62.31. Then they drop a little bit in AMP, which is traditional. But the sentiment was sliding on this project, and when I looked at the chart, this actually was underperforming. Hence, sentiment is down 60.19, 56.41 on their amplification. Next up is Yield Guild Games. Now, Yield Guild Games, a little different play out here, 135,000 in their Twitter, and they have a massive Discord audience as well. The DAO is holding it at 10% of their activity. And scholars right here is the big story at 4,700 scholars. This one, much better than what I would look at in terms of, I would kind of rank this one out there as maybe as the number one overall. But their 60-day right here, November 62.37, you can see it climbing to 63.19. Amplification also went up in December. This is a good one. Sentiment and amplification are on fly, and then the CPI rating on this is a 6.9. Now, our CPI score, I've got to make a chart for you guys for this so you can kind of see it, because it's super small writing on these, and I can't zoom up on this one. But a 2 to 5 is stay away. And when you go into 5.1 to 6.9, it is more research, hold, or trade. Then a 7.0 to 8.9 is very active, buy and monitor, and a 9.0 to 9.9 is buy for long term. This one comes in at a 6.9 CPI buy rating. So another good one, I think, that really can kind of go in this direction. Good Games Guild is another one. Now this one, again, about 100,000 followers on Twitter, trading at 705, a little bit overheated, I feel like, right now in terms of price, but it has been moving both up and down. 20% on their DAO. Scholars only 300. That's where I think their weak point is they really need to ramp up their scholar activity. That's a problem in a guild when you need scholars and assets to really kind of move out in that direction. This one comes in a little differently, 59. Also climbing a little bit in December to 61, but not quite as high as you can see, as Yield Guild at 63, them at 61, and amplification right there with it. So not a bad buy rating here of 6.5. Again, this one falls in the more research, hold, or trade, depending on what you're doing in this ecosystem around guilds for the metaverse. So that kind of gives you a rollout here. With Astra, we don't really have any stats on them for the CPI. So what we're going to give you is basically just the key stats of the company itself. So decentralized, they're a DAO, fully functioning earnings dashboard. This, I think, is where it will be very interesting, because a live dashboard for players, just as a recruiting tool, and the ability to understand earnings, even if they play something into the token analysis, you being a holder would want to understand. It's almost like a stock ticker, in essence, of real world or real-time earnings of how the guild is doing. So I think that could be a big deal. 2,035 Axie Infinity Scholars. This was as of November. And then they've got a CERTIG. You've got a DAO governance coming under development, and then also their staking program. I think the thing I outlined here in orange was their acquisition, acquisition equities in a Florida-based game development studio, Blue Monster Games, which we talked to these guys here. I think they're up in Gainesville. Traction in numbers, 800,000 in revenue, October. You can kind of see their Discord community in addition to what they're doing already at 56,000 on Twitter. That was as of today when we did the video. 75,000 Facebook fans, so that's a good number. This is a good ecosystem, a good community, which they're going to need to really kind of jump into this next layer and go head-to-head with projects like Yield Guild Games, which I think is kind of the alpha right now. So there's some potential here for this one to kind of get there. Now, money, 2.3 raised in their seed round. That's a decent seed round. They've got some good investment in place, so I don't know that these guys are in a good position right now. Series A, 3.2, and it looks like they're going out for $3 million on this private sale, which you can become a part of if you go visit their website. So if you guys are listening in over on the podcast, the best thing to do is, of course, give us some kudos over there. We love that. But really, to get a chance to see the charts, catch out all of the information that we drop here on YouTube, you got to enjoy the visual experience of this. So come over, subscribe to the show. Make sure, do not forget to jump into the Diamond Circle. I think what I'll do for you guys is give you the CPI ratings on these guilds so that you can take a look at these, because there are some charting elements that we drop for CPI that kind of gives you with amplification. We can go out about 7 to 10 days for where we think that particular project is going to move price-wise. So this might be something. We'll probably drop this in the Diamond Circle for you, so make sure and join. It's free, easy to get to. Jump in there. Of course, if you have an idea for the show, drop it in the comments below. You can always hit me up on Twitter, @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.